Aaron Chester, pastor at the Gortner Memorial Nazarene Church, and he's going to be offering the invocation. Any invocation that may be offered before the official start of the meeting of the Fayette County Commissioners shall be the voluntary offering of a private citizen to and for the benefit of the county commissioners. The views or beliefs expressed by the invocation speaker have not been previously reviewed or approved by the county commissioners and do not necessarily represent the religious beliefs or views of the county commissioners in part or as a whole. No member of the community is required to attend or participate in the invocation, and such decision will have no impact on their right to actively participate in the business of the county commissioners. Aaron?
Yeah, my name is Aaron Chester, and I'm the pastor at Connersville Gorton Memorial Church of the Nazarene. Thank you for inviting me this morning to pray. Let's pray together. Our Heavenly Father, we come to you this morning, and we are so grateful for your mercies, your graces that you have shown us. And we come to you this morning in this group, in this room, and we declare our dependence on you because you are a God who gives good things. And we declare our dependence on your graces and mercies that go with us each day of our lives. We pray right now that you would be with those who have gathered in this room as they do the business of this county. May you bless them, may you give them wisdom, may you give them understanding, and may you give them kindness and mercy as well. We pray, oh God, that you would just go with each and every one of them as they go about their day. May you go and go with them. May your presence dwell with them. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you.
I call this meeting of the Fayette County Board of Commissioners to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd make a motion that we approve the minutes of the previous meeting as presented. I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
3 ayes. Highway Department, Mr. Corm.
Hi guys.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
We got our tank in last week. Everything's going pretty good down there. Frank should have it poured, the pad poured this week. You got to let it cure for I think 10 to 14 days before we can put it on there. But everything's working out pretty good on that end. If you guys get a chance, swing down, check it out. Looks pretty different down there at the highway. Started chip sealing last week. We got about 2 miles completed both sides, and we've got 7 miles of road on one side done. We would have had all that done, but found a crack in our broom in the frame. We just now got it back together. Should have everything ready to go by noon to start sweeping and start back on chip sealing again tomorrow. So since we got the broom down, I've got a culvert crew out today. They're putting a culvert in on 350 East after Bill Weiler. Got the patch crew out and the mowing crews. I want to let everybody know the mowing crews have been out. It's just the same as always. We just try to keep on as much as we can.
It's been hard to get mowing done with rain.
Yeah, we still mow. We just go slower because it needs to be done. But the southern part of the counties are really rough, and your hills and hollers and stuff like that. But we're doing the best we can. We've been out mowing every day. We'll get to you eventually.
Okay.
Has anybody got anything going on? Or need
Yeah,
anything?
I do. Last weekend, I come past the highway department, seen a fire truck out there. And I stopped. Well, there's a ditch that comes down from the highway department and goes under 121. Right there by that fire hydrant, it's just an open ditch, and it's what, about 2.5 foot deep?
Yeah.
I asked Richard to put a culvert in there for that, about 10 foot of that by that hydrant, so that when the volunteer firemen come there to get water in their trucks, they don't have to cross that ditch at night. You know, they'll be able to just walk on flat ground and won't
Safety.
break their neck, and that's why he's got some culvert.
Yeah, they've been in and out, and when they're there, they're always crawling up and down, filling up the tanker. I think it'd be a pretty good idea if we can do that. it wouldn't have to be very long, just enough for them guys to get over there safely.
Yeah, that's,
Sounds like a good
Safety.
plan.
They break their neck in the dark.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then we'd be paying for that.
If,
One way or the other.
if anybody's got anything for me, I gotta get back down there. Angie's off this week, so
Yes.
just give me a call if I miss something.
Okay, all
All
right.
right, thank
Thank
you
you
guys.
very much. Mr. Gray?
Good morning.
Good morning, sir, how are you?
Good, how are you? You're probably feeling a lot of cool air right now. Both my boilers are off. I gotta get up and restart them. Gas company come in and replaced the gas meter a while ago. For the second time, I don't know what's going on with that, but that's what they do. Anyway, what I have, we have an airflow problem at the jail.
did
We
fine.
have had.
Okay.
And we've had the vents cleaned. Well, yesterday it was really bad. G&E block was not, hardly getting any air at all. Went back there, put paper up there, and it wasn't even blowing the paper, so I had Kevin come in. We went down, tore into the ductwork to see what was going on. What we found, the heat return coils are clogged. These things are about 150 pounds, and they're gonna have to come out completely to clean, because we cleaned them with some non-abrasive cleaner and got a little bit more flow, but nothing what we need to do. We need to drop them down and use some acid on them. We can't do it in there because all that goes up into the blocks. So I'm waiting, I'm getting bids. I'm gonna get a bid from him, and I'll get some bids from other people to drop those down. Because it's gonna take some time, and mostly labor. There's not a whole lot of cost in material, but it's gonna be mostly labor.
Is that, local companies can do that, or is that something we're gonna have to?
No,
Go out.
I don't think any local companies are gonna be able to handle something that big, because you got, you're gonna have 8 blocks, you're gonna have 2 coils per block.
So you're gonna do the whole system?
We're gonna have to, because this is something that's not, I mean, one block's bad right now, but the rest of them are,
How quick can we?
I don't know. Until
Accomplish
we
this.
get some bids in, get some time frames on people. I mean, I'm gonna try to do as much as I can myself, but I can only do so much.
Right, right. Can
So-
we try to shoot for the meeting of the 5th for the quotes?
Yeah. Well, unless I can get them quicker, then I'll try to get it to
Then we'll
you.
go,
Yeah,
we'll do something different, but,
because he's gonna be back, I think in July, it's the first or second week in July. We're gonna have to at least show that we're working on it. And we have been ever since, but it's hard to find this stuff.
well, it's nice now that we found the problem.
Yeah, I mean, we had to cut the
Actually
ductwork and
look.
crawl up in there
Yeah.
to actually, and to look at it, it don't look dirty at all. It looks clean, but it's just so clogged inside. Because I took the ductwork in front of the part and wasn't getting any air at all. I took the ductwork behind it and it about blew me off the ladder. So that's.
I think we found the problem.
Yeah, found the problem.
Yeah.
But it's something that can be cleaned, it's not
Yeah.
gonna have to be replaced.
No, I think we can get them down and clean them. I don't think we're gonna have to replace them, because that's your heating coils is what it is, but they gotta be there,
Yeah.
even in the summertime, because if you didn't, I'm surprised I haven't had a lot of phone calls right now, because all the heat's off here and all you're getting is cold air, and I'm surprised some of these offices ain't ringing my phone off. They will be. So, as soon as I get those in, bids in, I'll let you know.
Okay. Glass order?
Glass is he's got the material order,
Or,
so he'll have to get it in, and then he give me a time frame, probably the last of this month, he'll probably get the material, and then by the time that inspectors get it, we can at least be working on them. Maybe we can be in there working on it when he's here, so he'll know that we're trying to get it fixed.
all right.
So they're gonna put all the glass together and do everything, and then we're gonna install it in-house.
Okay, so they're providing the glass and you're going to do the installation?
We'll do the install.
Well, that's gonna help.
Yeah, because you're looking at, there was 20 windows in the bid, but the Joe inspector said there's about 30 windows. These are cell block windows, these are the small ones.
Okay.
Once we get this stuff in, that should stop the problem too, because they're not gonna be able to bust this.
Very good.
All right, that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I'm gonna go start the boilers. Thank you.
Thank you. Are you enjoying your vacation today?
So far. I just mainly wanted to bring up the fact that a week and a half ago, we started getting hacking attempts on the email server again. And the symptom that we noticed was people were calling in and saying that they were getting kicked out of their email. And what it does is when you get passwords wrong 5 times in a row, it locks your account. Keeping anybody logged in, it knocks them out, and it also keeps people from logging in. And we had this multiple times from pretty much 10, 15 users that repeatedly were getting, we'd unlocked them, half an hour later they were locked again. I worked with Reliable Networks, and now we're getting a daily report saying how many login failure attempts were going on and where they were coming from. And it looks like we're being hit by a bot network, basically people that have infected computers with viruses, because the hits were coming from all over the place. Judge Brandstetter even had one where a failed login attempt was from the Indiana Office of Technology IP address. So I went up to his office and said, "Are you in Indianapolis today trying to log in your email?" And he was sitting right there, so obviously he wasn't. So they've got a compromised computer up there that was part of that bot network. So I just wanted you guys to be aware, and the public to be aware that that is going on. And it's something that we're fighting against every day. So, but also brought up on the email server, right now that's coming out of my budget. And I would like, it's not a decision that has to be made today, but going into budget time, I would like to consider if we can move that to contractual services for next year. It's basically $750 a month, depending upon how many users we have. Currently, we have 136, I believe, and it's $741 a month. Basically changes by $1.50 every email we've got. So that's $9,000 for the year, plus the Barracuda, which is another $1,200. So it's $10,000 a year so far that's coming out of my budget, and I only asked for $24,000. I just got 5 computers, and there was $3,000 right there. So computers aren't cheap, and I'm gonna have to start cycling out computers because the ones that we've got are going on 4 years old. Some of the users, those computers may last 7 years. Some of the other ones will not. I mean, it just depends upon usage, how the hardware happens to work out. Some parts we can replace, some parts we can't. Thursday afternoon, I replaced a computer completely because we replaced parts and we've done everything we could to it, and it was still not working well, so we just replaced the whole machine. So I try to do that as seldomly as I can, but as you can imagine, as we go into the next couple of years, I'm gonna have to replace more machines, and at $500 to $600 a pop for a machine, they add up pretty quick. So just if you could consider that on the email server, if we could possibly move that to contractual services instead of out of the IT budget for next year, or even maybe remaining of this year, but that's up to you guys. But basically for the remaining of the year, it's like just under $5,000, I think, because I haven't gotten the bill for June yet. But that's up to you guys. So, anything for me?
No?
Okay.
Enjoy your vacation.
Thanks.
But we'll be
Michael.
calling you.
Well, Mike's here all week, so hopefully he'll be able to handle everything.
Jenna Turner?
Good morning.
Good morning, Jenna.
I'm just doing a report. I wanted to let you know we had our first financial audit from the Department of Corrections concerning the 1006 grant that we received for the first year. Everything came back fine with that, with no recommendations. So I just wanted to let you know that. And a big thank you to Diane Wright, the grant administrator. She did the bulk of the work for that in meeting with the auditors and making sure everything is done correctly. So huge thanks to her. Wanted to acknowledge that. We had our annual probation officers meeting in Indianapolis in May. 7 of the probation officers received certification in administering Narcan. And Lawrence Smith had been working on an application of getting some free kits from the agency that did the training. So we're going to have some kits over there in case we would need them. I also understand that the board's looking at getting different gas cards. There was conversation of the probation officers each do have a gas card and some concern about that, and I'm fine with whatever. I think that it's easier for me if they have the gas card individually. They have a specific PIN number assigned to them with that card, so when I get the monthly bill, I see exactly who got the gas, so it's an automatic electronic documentation for me, which is kind of nice, opposed to if we have a card, I guess, for each vehicle, whatever. I just wanted to bring that up as something to think about as you decide what you're going to do as far as the gas cards are concerned.
Excuse me, Jenna,
Yes.
the new credit card
Mhm.
that they sent out, you still have the individual PIN numbers? Even?
How new are you talking about?
We don't have those cards. Their auditor
No.
had them. And
No, I wasn't aware that we'd
Cards
gotten
have
the
not
new
been-
cards yet.
Oh, they
I know.
haven't been passed.
I know ours expire, the ones that we have, in August, and I knew
Oh,
at the
okay.
last
Oh,
meeting.
okay, I thought they
wasn't
were-
aware they'd gotten.
I thought they'd already expired,
Okay.
and everybody got new cards. already.
Okay,
No, the new cards have
No,
not
our-
been distributed.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So I just wanted to bring that up as something to think about as you guys were deciding what you were going to do with that. We only spend, the average with 2 vehicles, $69 a month. The thing is, we're using 8 people are sharing 2 cars. So as far as keeping up with who got gas, because
Yeah.
the Explorer I keep strictly, really because it's older, for local home visits, which sometimes we take that out daily, and it's different officers taking it out at different times.
The
So-
problem, Jenna, is the new gas cards are not gas cards, they're MasterCards.
Okay. Well, and that's fine. I really didn't know the
We're trying to find a
details.
company that goes back to the other problem.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to bring up, with that, and I mean, we were just doing that because that's what the auditor, that's what they decided to do way back when we got the
Yes.
first vehicle, so it's fine with me. I wanted to let you know that we've recently had a Work One representative present updated information to the department, and we have increased our number of referrals to Work One for our probationers getting help in finding employment in order to be able to pay their fees with us. We did schedule also with another agency, it's a not-for-profit agency. They've actually been going to community corrections for doing financial classes with our clients. They do everything from helping them get a job to how to budget their money. They have a goal, like paying back probation fees. How are they going to reach that goal? We had scheduled our first class to start in July, and then we're informed that the grant money has been cut off. So I'm asking today, we stopped the previous contract with Proof, which was the call-in app. I didn't feel like it was effective enough for probation that it was worth the cost, so we did stop that contract. I'm requesting permission today. Jeff Coleman had actually created a contract, possibly contracting with this not-for-profit agency to continue to the end of the year to do these classes. It's a 4-week class with a week break, and then they'd have another one. And I would like to collect the data from that, test it out, see how it's going, if it's working, and then possibly look at writing it into the 1006 grant to see if we could get grant money to continue that after the end of this year. The one thing I like about it is all those probationers that are unable to pay their fees, in order for us to file a violation, if it's just for collection of fees, we have to prove that they're willfully not paying that, which is difficult when you have 500 people and we're doing our probation supervision. But that would be, if they don't complete that class and they owe us money, then we could file a violation of probation based on that, because they haven't done everything they absolutely could to try to get the payment of those fees. So I can give you more information. I just wanted to get permission to give the rough draft of a contract we came up with to the county attorney to see if it would pass that, if there's things that we need to change before we contacted this company.
We got a question.
Yes.
He's talking about them paying off the probation fees. Can they work that off through the county?
Not at this point. There's nothing set up where they can do community service work. They used to do that years ago. I don't know why. For some reason they can't.
Could you find?
I'll have to look into that. I can look into the background of that. I'm not opposed to that. But I know at one time, it was when Bill Newkirk was running community corrections, something happened that they weren't doing that anymore, and I don't remember why that was. It was quite a while ago. Yeah, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
So you just need basically permission for the attorney to look
Yeah,
over the contract?
and then I'll come back at the next meeting and update on where we stand with that, and if it's something that we're wanting to do. And I'll give you more information on what that class is.
If that's all right.
Okay.
Do we need a motion?
Do we need a motion to have her give the information to the attorney, or just have her give
Well, I'll
it to
make
the
a
attorney?
motion to that.
Okay.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
3 ayes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then the last thing, I do have I guess I'm just kind of asking the board what the next step would be, if there's a possibility. We've been approached by the polygrapher out of Delaware County for sex offender management here in Fayette County. They are required, as part of their special conditions of probation, to attend a sex offender treatment program that is held here at Community Corrections. Part of that treatment is they are required to do polygraph exams, and they do those on a regular basis. The person that does the polygraph test is a detective out of Delaware County named Barry Bridges. He had asked it's actually Chuck Whalen, he's our probation officer for sex offender management, if there was a possibility of having a room over on the probation side to do the polygraph exams, so that would be quieter. At Community Corrections, there's a lot of activity in and out, and sometimes the noise level can affect his equipment that he's using. They want a quiet atmosphere to conduct the exam also, but it's on a Saturday. Since we're not a 24/7 facility over there, are there any steps that I can take to check into the possibility of allowing him to, we do have a room available. It's, we let the parole officer during the week can meet with people in there. It's where the food pantry used to be. We use that room, the front part, for training purposes, and then the back part we're using it for any time someone needs to meet with someone. So kind of wanted to bring that up to see if you guys have if that's not a possibility, or if it's something I could look in, and if so, what steps do I need to take?
I guess my only concern would be if that building is officially closed on Saturdays,
Right.
how are we going to make sure of its security?
Right. I think part of it would be getting something from Mr. Bonds of responsibility. He is going to know who's going to be there. The way that room's set up, it's our waiting hallway. So our offices are behind this secure code. You have to get a code to get in. They wouldn't have access to that. It would be the hallway and that one door, which he would have to have a key to. Now, the outside door automatically locks when you close it behind you. So I understand your concern. That's
They don't
why
have-
I'm even bringing it
in
up.
the community corrections facility, they don't have a more private?
I don't know
Office.
if he's checked with them. I've got the second hand. He spoke
Okay.
with Chuck Whalen, the probation officer, so if you want more information, I can contact him and talk to him.
I think I do, I don't.
The preference would
I'm
be
very
he stay at
concerned
community
about
corrections since
Opening
they're,
up a building
right,
on the weekend.
Yeah.
That's not normally open. and-
right.
And maintain security.
Okay. So just talk to him a little bit more just to see if
Yeah.
he can come up with another solution. Okay. That was it for today. You guys have any questions for probation?
No, thank you for
Thank
all
you.
the work you do, Jenna.
Okay.
I know that you guys have a heavy workload over there, and you do a good job.
It's actually increasing because they're trying to get people out of jail so that everybody's getting on probation, so we're keeping up as well as we can. And I'll check into the community service work and check back with you.
Jenna, with that statement that you just made, aren't they trying to institute some type of day reporting as well?
Yeah, I know Michelle is
That's-
working on that.
That will help alleviate.
Yeah, I know that I got something in my mailbox and I haven't looked at it completely, if that's going to be in place of probation or it's going to be an added step to
Okay.
probation. I'm not sure yet how that's going to work. But that's why we got the 1006 money too, is that the state, that's why they opened it up to probation to have access to apply for that grant, and we've gotten 3 positions from that grant, so.
So you
I
have
mean, they
three-
realize
three
it's-
new employees.
Yes, we've got 3
Additional
employees that's paid out of the grant,
Okay.
so,
Good.
okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Okay. Warren, did you have anything to bring before us, please?
I have one item today is, I have a contract here from Milestone for the paving contracts for Waterloo Road and Everton Road for your signatures.
Very good.
And I got the bonds and the certificate of insurance, and then Colin has looked them over. I got 2 copies. And Leota, you and the auditor are required to sign it. Where the red is that page? Over top.
My new eyes are getting hard to get used to.
So I'll give them the notice to proceed, and they have to July 15th, although possibility may need the extension, but I'll come back with you. You know, it depends, it's a pretty tight schedule, although they say it take 2 weeks.
It only takes 2 weeks to get the road done.
Both of them, yeah. Should,
Wonderful.
that's what he said. It all depends on the milling contractor, the subcontractor, their schedule.
Are they going to be able to come in
There's no
and do
copy.
the city's portion up here
Mhm.
and our phase 1 at the same time?
I think that's what they plan on.
Those millings, do you keep them?
They're going to be deposited down to County Highway Garage, stockpiled down there for the highway use, some gravel roads, I
Okay.
guess. where Richard-
I suggested, Jim Reese and I suggested to Richard that he use them to build the berms up
Yeah,
on those new, because that new pavement's going to be raised. He's going to have to put something in.
that's all I have. I'll give it to the auditor and
Okay.
we can get started then.
And we wouldn't have to go out and buy stone for that.
So, bonds, insurance. Is Jane off today? Can somebody sign this, attest to it? On this page. And I need a copy to send back to the contractor. So,
Colin, do you have anything for us?
I do not.
Do we want to do this?
If you want to, you can.
Do we want to do that?
Yes.
Address that with Colin? At this time?
You do have the cemetery, Pioneer Cemetery ordinance.
Yes,
Would you like to read that?
I can read it if you'd like. All right, this is an ordinance prohibiting future burials in pioneer cemeteries in Fayette County. It reads, whereas the Fayette County at present does not have rules concerning new lot sales and burials in pioneer cemeteries, and whereas it is of utmost importance to protect and preserve pioneer cemeteries, now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Commissioners by Fayette County, Indiana, adopt a rule concerning all pioneer cemeteries in Fayette County except Webb Cemetery as follows. Pioneer Cemetery Rule A. The following act shall be prohibited in Fayette County's pioneer cemeteries. 1. Sale or new burial lots or new graves. 2. Purchase of new burial lots or new graves. 3. New burials. 4. Disinterments. And 5. Removals. B. This rule does not apply to Webb Cemetery, and this ordinance shall be enforced in effect whenever you guys pass it.
Effective today.
Yeah.
Can this be effective today, or will we have to do a hearing on it, or
I would prefer we advertise it.
yes?
Okay.
I'll put it on the agenda, but it's been read now, so there's a little bit of notice. If we can do it next time, I would be more comfortable with that. I think
I would
that,
too.
Is it gonna be noticed twice,
um,
public meeting?
I'll check. I think once is fine, but I'll double check that before we do it.
Okay. So do you need an official action to advertise it and everything? or
No,
do
I don't think so.
Okay, all right. So this will be advertised as presented?
Right.
As you presented?
Right.
Okay.
So we can approve it on the July 5th meeting.
Yep.
All right. Takes care of that one.
Jane will have to take care of the advertising, correct?
Yeah.
Mr. Rickman's not here this morning. Oh, it's not here. Ruth Nettie. Last but not least.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ruth. How are you?
Very well, thank you. You know, as county recorder, one of my primary tasks is to preserve and protect our permanent records. That's why the Recorder's Perpetuation Fund was created. We have that fund available to use to purchase equipment or items to help preserve our documents. Two things I want to talk about this morning. First, you should have a copy of a quote that I have from Boyce to get new plat envelopes. And if you're not familiar with what they are, they're these big envelopes here. And the ones we have are over 20, at least, I know they're more than 20 years old. And they are not archival quality. So they are beginning to yellow, as you can tell. They have this, they're like a big giant baggie, basically. They have a zip closure. But I don't know if you can tell how some of the print has actually stuck to the envelope. So our documents are beginning to lose that ink off of the document. And so we need to replace the envelopes that we have. And I mean, you can tell some of these are very, very old. So we can't replace them. So we have to get new envelopes. And I can get those and pay for them out of perpetuation, which is non-allocated funds. But because the purchase price is more than the threshold I can purchase, that's why I want to come to you. They are available for $13 a piece. I need to get 400 of them, so that would be $5,200 is what I will need to take out of the perpetuation fund. I do have enough money. Yes, that fund does have the money in there. I just wanted to make sure, let you know that's my plan, and make sure you don't have a problem with me doing that.
Before we move on, I'll make a motion that we allow Ruth to go ahead and purchase these at that price.
I'll second that.
It's
been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
3 ayes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The other thing is we are seriously considering purchasing a piece of equipment called a Book-Eye scanner. We brought it in for demo probably over a year ago. It's a large piece of equipment where we can take the old books and actually lay them in like a cradle, and it's an overhead shot of those documents so that we don't have to lift them and try to put them on a copy machine. We then could put those images, digitized images, onto a thumb drive or onto discs, then eventually be able to put those images into our system where that we could then look at them on the computer. It would be easily accessible. I'm still working out a few logistics with our software provider to make sure that everything's going to work, that everything will work. But they have a demo machine that's available at a very reduced cost for us. It's the same machine they brought in and demoed last year. They've taken it to conferences and to different counties. It's at a much reduced price, and they're holding it for me. What I would like to do is get contingent approval to enter into a contract to lease this piece of equipment. I can lease it for about the same price as purchasing it outright. But I don't want to commit today until I know for sure that everything will work with my software provider. The county attorney has had an opportunity to review the agreement, and he sees no problem with the contract. I had already emailed that to him ahead of time so he could review that. The cost is $1,021 a month to lease for 3 years. The equipment comes with a full warranty as if it's a brand new machine. They go through it, make sure everything is top quality, and then it's a 3-year service agreement. And then at the end of that 3 years, then I can purchase it for $1. I would then take that money out of the perpetuation fund, and we will have enough money in there to fund that through the life of that agreement, if everything works out with my software provider to make sure that I can make that work.
Ruth,
Mhm.
the monthly fee
Mhm.
or lease payment, that the service contract is included in that?
It's included in that $1,021 per month, yes.
And is this the scanner that, that Dale mentioned the other
Yes.
night? Okay.
Dale was at the demo. They brought it to Fayette County and demoed it.
He was pretty impressed, I think.
He was very impressed with it, yes, and he is.
So once we digitize our books, our older books, then are we going to be allowed to discard those books, or are we still going to have to
We still,
provide
we'll
storage?
still have to house those books. The good thing is we are not creating new books now, since we are now fully on computer. As we create new books, they're not physical books, they're all on the computer,
They're
and they're
all
all backed
digitized.
up. Yes, they're all digitized. But all of the old books, we still will house those. We can't get rid of them. But my concern is if something were to happen, we can't replace those.
Right.
So I would like to get a backup so that, and it'll take us quite some time to go through and digitize all of this, but we can start a little at a time and do that.
Now, everything that's digitized, is that also being stored off-site
Yes, it is.
as well?
Yes. Yes, it is. We have backups with our provider.
And will these new scans, once we get this scanner going, those will be part of that?
That's one of the things I'm
Working.
trying to work out to
Okay.
make sure that we can make that happen.
Okay, all right.
Yes. But like I said, I don't really, I'm sorry?
The records are very important to Fayette County.
They certainly are, and you know, we have people in, you know, every week, we've got people coming in, and we have a lot of people do genealogy, and people who buy an old home, they're just curious. They want to know, and they want to trace that home backward. So we have people come in every week looking at these early 1800s documents, and they're very fragile, and they're all handwritten. I would really encourage people to come in and kind of take a tour of our office. Our office is much larger than what anyone would realize, because we have that entire back room with all of our records, and it's just a wealth of information.
Once we get this, Ruth,
Mhm.
do we have the time to scan the books?
Well, we do have some time. One of the things that I would like to look into is, there's a program at the high school called JAG, which is called Jobs for America's Graduating Seniors, and it's through Work One, and it's like an internship, and it's at no cost. It's funded through Work One, so it's no cost to the county.
Isn't there a senior program as well through Work One?
Yes, they have an internship, I think, with some of the classes from the vocational school where they can work afternoons
Mm-hmm.
and get credit, or you give them a grade.
Mhm.
They ask you to.
Well, I talked with Tim Davis. He's one of two of the gentlemen who run this program through the high school, and I spoke with him about it, and it sounds like it's something that would be very workable, and with some training,
Yeah.
they could learn how, because we have to make sure we get a good image.
Right, I mean,
You
there's
know.
no sense in doing it if they're not real.
Right, if it's not something we can reproduce, then it does us no good to digitize it.
But from what I understood from Dale and you as well, this machine here is very efficient as far as,
It is, it's very,
if it's done correctly,
correct.
this machine does a very good job of picking it up.
Yes, and they will give us training, when they come in, they do train us in how to use the machine. It will take, like this one I showed you here, we have a lot of deeds that, for some reason, years ago, someone thought it was a good idea to do the black with the white letters, and I'm not real sure why. I mean, that's a long time ago, but they're very hard to reproduce. They're very hard to make copies, and it will actually reverse. It will reverse that image and make the background white and the letters black. Our copier, we got a new copier, and it also does, but we can't do those large books, you know. But it will do that. It will take things off the margins. It will, if things are crooked, it kind of straightens them up. And some images have places where part of it is kind of light here and dark here, and I don't really know why. But when it was copied and when it was put into the book, for some reason, it's not all the same, but it will, it's kind of there's a program called Digital Magic, and that's not what this program is, but it's very similar to that, where it's kind of like waving a magic wand. It kind of senses and cleans them up.
Now, will this require any other hardware to operate?
Michael has to work out a couple of little things. I'm not real sure. Michael was at the demo. He knows.
Okay. It's nothing that we can't
No,
accomplish.
it's basically just setting up the network connections and working out how it's going to get to her software. Their network is independent in the recorder's office. It's separated from the rest of the courthouse. So the only thing that would be necessary would be if we wanted to get the data over to the rest of the courthouse, we have to find some way to do that.
Okay.
So that would be a flash drive or something manual, but we could work that out.
All right.
And the way I understand it is, it does come with its own computer.
Okay,
So
that's what I was
if
wondering.
other departments are using it, then everyone will have their own little folder on that computer, so that as they are saving their documents, they're putting them into their folder, we're putting ours into our folder, so that way everybody can keep track of of their documents that they are working on.
So even though it's coming from your own fund, other office holders could
It
digitize
will be
and hold it.
available, yes. I know that's one of the things Dale was really looking at. The only concern I do have is there's a lot of things in the basement of the jail that he and former Commissioner Jackson were looking at, and they want to try to get those on there. Because of the condition of those and the things they've been exposed to, I want to make sure that those things are done a little bit later so that I don't want contamination. I don't know how to put it nicely, but you're aware of what I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
So, but yes, that's very possible. That can happen, yes. I won't be able to actually print off of there, but it will be on
A flash drive.
a flash drive, and then we can digitize it. And there's also the possibility, Michael, am I correct that we could take a thumb drive down to the surveyor if we absolutely need one?
To print it off on the large
On there?
format? Yeah.
Okay.
Because the surveyor does have a new,
The bigger printer.
yeah, and I can actually that's not something we would need to do on a daily basis,
Right.
but in that rare case where we would need something immediately.
Okay, all right. So you need a motion to move forward?
Yes.
Under your conditions?
Yes,
I would move that we allow Ruth to go ahead and enter into this lease agreement if everything works to her specifications.
I second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
3 ayes.
all right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ruth.
It's about time we got with the modern world in Fayette County. Next thing on the agenda is the mail. And I have a letter from the Criminal Justice Institute. Do you have any mail, Stephanie? I'm pleased to notify you, staff, to notify your staff that the Governor's Commission to Combat Drug Abuse has reviewed and approved our county's comprehensive community plan. Copy of the approved plan update is enclosed. This plan will remain as the approved plan until you are notified the Commission has approved an updated new plan. Approval of the plan is the first step necessary for making all allocations from the County Drug-Free Communities Fund, Indiana Code 5211. A full plan or a plan update must be approved within the past 12 months in order for the local coordinating council to access the fund. Your local coordinating council has developed a secure countywide strategy for making your community a safer and healthier place to reside by addressing the problems associated with alcohol and other drug abuse. They have volunteered many hours to ensure the problems are addressed at a coordinated manner so available resources are not wasted. Your support is vital to their success. Pursuant to Indiana Code 52115, the commissioners are responsible for appropriating the funds to carry out the recommended actions contained in the LCC's Comprehensive Drug-Free Communities Plan approved by the Indiana Criminal Justice Institute. If we have any questions regarding the letter to the Comprehensive Community Plan, contact your local coordinating council. Thank you for playing a vital role in the statewide effort to mobilize communities for a drug-free Indiana. And this is a plan update that was submitted by Kathy Duncan, who's the president of the Drug-Free Abuse Committee. And it has a bunch of other attachments that I'm not going to read, but they're available if anyone would like to see them. Old business, commissioners' appointments.
I have, with 911 and the discussion that we had last week, the 911 Advisory Board met Thursday night, and pertaining to the motion that we made and passed last week on the frequencies, we've got them sitting down at the table and trying to work through that. And so I've advised that the mayor that we're more concerned about solving the problem than our deadline that we did set. And he appreciated that, and but they are trying some new things, some new procedures over the next 30 days or so to try to see if that alleviates the problem. So they are working on that. So
Very good.
and I'm very thankful for that. And I apologize that we had to take such action, but
It
if that's
caused somebody to make a move
yeah,
and get some things resolved.
yeah. So they are working on it.
That's better than before.
Yeah.
They were just fighting about nothing being done. All right. And any other old business? Bruce Howe is the new business.
I might
Commissioner
add
appointments.
also under old business, Diana sent me a list of roads that were going to be considered that I think,
For the community
Warren,
crossing.
did you and Richard come up with that list, or
I think it came from our meeting a couple weeks ago at the highway department.
a list of roads for next year's grant,
Community crossings.
community crossing grant for the paving program? And I guess my intent, I would like to, if Warren can get me a map today, to kind of draw out those so that all three of us can look at them. And
Okay.
I think we're up against a deadline this,
July 15th.
is it the 15th of July? Okay. I was thinking it was yet this month for the
15th of
application.
July.
So maybe we could look at those and make sure that that list is okay, because she'll need that to go into the grant.
Oh, we need to have an executive meeting to go over that?
Quite possibly, yeah.
Okay. We'll have Jane set that as soon as she's
Or a
back.
special, it may be a special session, we may not be able to do
Yeah.
it in executive session.
Okay.
Maybe a work session type special for next week, maybe.
We'll let Stephanie make the advertising or whatever we need to do to get that meeting set up.
I think that's all I had under old business.
And we'll put all the commissioners' appointments till next meeting, right?
Yeah, I think, because they're not till the end of the year or something, I think. Oh, yes, the department heads.
Department head.
Yeah, they're going to be done the 5th.
On the 5th of July.
5th of
As we
July.
had
We've asked
some
those
people
department
on
heads.
vacation.
Oh, we've asked those department heads to be present the 5th.
And new business, Mr. Howe? Thank you for patiently waiting through all of this.
Thank you for hearing me. I come to request to vacate the alleyway, 2 alleyways in Alquina proper. The reason being is, as far as I know, the alleys were plotted but never put in. And it borders 3 properties, well, actually 2 properties, that I'd like to get the alleyways closed up in order to put a fence up. There's 2 properties. The one that lines Harold Street, South Harold Street, it appears to have a 2-story house on it. The house is no longer there. I acquired that property last year and went to make it a Harold Street address, and that's when I found out the alleyways were there, but I couldn't do that until I had the alleyways closed up. I talked to Mr. King, which owns the house along Jefferson Street, and as a result of a conversation with him, we agreed to go ahead and put up a fence, but at the same time, we need to close up the alleyways to make a definite property line. If we could get the alleyways closed up, I could bring a surveyor out and make a no-kidding where the property lines are. The correspondence I gave you is requests and a response I have from the 3 separate property owners, Mr. Smith, Mr. Keene, and Mr. Gupta. But if you see the correspondence I got, I sent out to Mr. Gupta. I never got a response from him, but the letter being signed by Mr. Harper and Mr. Edwards, they're currently purchasing the house that Mr. Gupta owns. And they didn't have a problem with closing up their property lines.
Those alleyways now, are they just grass?
Just grass, have been for, well, my father purchased it in '72, and we've always used it as yards. So, many years ago, there used to be a relay agricultural place where everybody would bring their livestock to on their way to Cincinnati, mostly hogs. And if they may have been there at some time, but they haven't been used for quite some time.
Is there any power lines or telephone lines in there?
There are power lines that run between the two properties that I own that service the other two houses on that square.
Those power lines run down those alleys?
The one running from Harold Street to almost Mill Street are where the property line are. They run down to right behind the two houses.
Are those buried lines or overhead?
They're above ground, they're on poles.
Colin, you mentioned that this will need to be handled as a public hearing, especially since there's power lines, because they'll have to have easements.
I think you need to get a letter from the fire department, from the power company, you know, to find out whether them can be closed.
Yeah.
Because them guys need to get in there if they have to.
They'll have to readdress their easements.
Yeah.
They're with those property owners rather than with the county.
Right.
If those are closed. Right, isn't that how
Yeah,
they do that?
If they got an easement, they can knock anything down and go in there and get it.
Yeah. So,
So you need to check with them.
I guess I would make a motion that we do advertise for a public hearing. And that,
Contact the phone, power,
if you'll
and power.
get letters from the emergency services as well as the power company,
Okay.
that'll help. All the, any utilities that run in those alleys. And then what is that basically like the ordinance? We'll advertise it and we can have the hearing next meeting?
Yeah, that's fine.
The 5th?
Yep.
And we can have a public hearing, and then anyone else that might be involved, that gives them the right to come in and speak for or against the closure of the alleys.
To get a hold of the phone company up on Rich Road up at Richmond is where they're located at the engineering department. You could talk to somebody up there about the problem with the utilities.
Okay, I'm sorry, where was
You
that?
can go down up on Rich Road. It's up there by the old Perfect Circle plant, off of what, 35 is it?
I don't have any idea.
Tom Raper's right by him.
Oh, okay.
And then for the power company, you can just go right out here, because they have the engineering department out here on
Memorial
Drive.
Highway, Veterans Memorial Road.
Now,
Is
this
that
firehouse
Duke
would just
out
go
there?
into Everton.
Is that Duke out there?
Yeah.
That's Duke.
Is it? I didn't know whether that was Whitewater Valley RMC out there or,
Oh, okay, I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Or
That's,
Duke.
I think it's Duke.
okay, yeah.
Okay.
So,
So I need to correspond with them to say it's okay, or whether they need to drop an easement.
I would just ask them the same questions that you've asked these property owners.
Okay.
And then they can take
They
it
can look
upon
at their
themselves to look at their records and say, oh, well, we'll need an easement with those property owners.
Okay.
Rather than, chances are they've got an easement with the county
Right.
because that's a platted alley. If it no longer is going to be a platted alley, then they'll have to go to the property owners to get that
Okay.
easement, maybe. I don't- So, Yeah, I'll make a motion that we advertise for public hearing.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
3 ayes.
So we'll, hopefully if we can get that advertisement done and everything, it'll be held next meeting with it.
Which is the 5th of July. Be on Wednesday because the 4th comes on Tuesday. We will not be holding a meeting on the 4th of July.
I wouldn't think so. Okay. All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any patron concerns? I'll make a motion that we approve payroll and claims.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And we will, a motion to adjourn the meeting, and we'll sign the claims after we adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
3 ayes. Meeting's adjourned.
Colin, can you